What is going on, guys? Hey, welcome to the Ridgeline Athlete channel. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. Click that little button below. It's just so easy to do. And be sure to share if you like it. If you don't, hey, it's not for everybody. So today's video, I give a little bit of insight into a deboning technique that I didn't invent it, and I'm sure there's others out there that are doing it, but man, oh man, does it make life just, one, it's simple, it keeps your meat in this very organized kind of layout, as you're going to see. It's easy to do, much easier to do in the field when you're dealing with deboning and then packing out. But you can also do it at home for somebody that does their own butchering, like I do, and I encourage everybody that hunts wild game, butcher your own meat. One, you're going to end up with a lot higher yield, okay, meaning more meat, okay. That's nothing against butchers. They got to make money, and time is of the essence. I spend so many hours cutting up these animals because I have the time. I will do just a piece at a time, a quarter at a time, or whatever I have time to do. A couple hours, I'll do that much meat. Whereas a butcher doesn't have that sort of time. So again, this is nothing negative against butchers. There's a lot of really great, talented butchers out there that I learn a lot from. I love watching their work, YouTube and other social platforms where they're sharing their craft. But I encourage, if you truly want to be connected to the food, the meat, the food, this animal, and to the earth ultimately, butchering your own wild game is like the ultimate. And you're also going to get to really customize that meat for how you and your family, want to enjoy it and package it, weights, etc. So back to the deboning. This technique is one that a friend of mine, as we're cutting up one of my deer one particular evening in the garage, and he's screwing around, and he's cut up a lot more deer than I had at that point. It was probably close to a decade ago. And he says to me, "Whoa, look at this!" And he had deboned that hind quarter, and it was all still connected. And it was all laid out. You could see every different cut, okay? And yet they were still connected, which was neat. There we're on the processing table, and all we did was cut them up at that point, kind of dissect those parts. But then it occurred to me that I could do that in the field when I'm quartering, big game, and I'll have it all in one piece when it goes into the game bag, which you're going to see in this video. So then your butcher gets it. It's already laid out. They're not having to, they won't have to debone it, which I know some will pull it out on the bone, and that's fine too. But for the person like myself who, with a whitetail, say, I got the deer hanging, I take that quarter, pull out all those pieces, and then, in one piece, then I bring it inside, and I've got them all organized there, rather than a piece here which has some, maybe some tri-tip and some sirloin. Everything's it's kind of a piece of each. You don't have those nice perfect cuts, and one of the reasons being that it's all kind of discombobulated. When I was earlier on, as a butcher, that's what it was. It was just a bunch of meat from the hind corner thrown in a bin, and then, then we'll cut it up, from there, and kind of, okay, we'll put this here, and that's going to go to grind, and here's our steak, and so on and so forth. This way, I know ahead of time exactly what I'm going to do with each piece, and if I want to make a change, maybe I'm going to, do a full roast or something like that, rather than turning that into steak. I can do that. Okay, but super slick way. I highly recommend that you at least try it. If you're doing it in the field and you've got that hind quarter hung up, again, as you're going to see in the video, it just falls down. You're letting gravity pull that meat off the bone, and ultimately you will just catch it in the game bag, which is perfect. Okay, I mean, it just works so well that I truly, I just want to share it with everybody. And I always get so fired up when I'm in the woods doing it. That in this situation, you see me doing it on an elk. It was a solo hunt. So at that point, I was looking for friends anyway. You start to talk to yourself a little bit. But what a great time to do a video, and show others how I pulled that meat off the bone, put it in the game bags, and then in this situation, I brought it to a butcher. I had to fly and actually shipped that. Kind of another little interesting piece. And also for those that are doing these Western hunts or vice versa, if you're West coming East and you're shipping meat, rather than put it on the plane, which is risky, always risky. I've gotten in the airport and I see guys' coolers sitting there that didn't make it, like they did something wrong, packaging, etc. And they fucking wasted the airline. They just wasted. Those guys paid for the coolers, all the meat, they cut up and got it ready to go home, and it's not going with them. And that would I would be crying, bawling my eyes out. So this way, there's risk to everything, but this particular butcher, they shipped, it was Southwest Freight. Excuse me. So they shipped Southwest Freight. They boxed up the meat in these kind of like, it was like a foam lined, like foam cooler lined cardboard boxes. So they did all the cutting and then packaged and then put it in they froze it first. Put it in the boxes, okay, sealed up in these cooler boxes. Took it to Southwest. They were this was out of Denver, so they were right there. Drove it to the airport. They shipped it. You get tracking. It's guaranteed in under 24 hours to the terminal. I had to drive 2 hours from home here to go pick it up, and then picked it up and brought it home. And that was freaking slick. Okay, so do ask, though, that the terminal it's being shipped to, make sure that they have a cooler there. Okay, mine didn't. And that was something the butcher thought they had. So I had a little bit of meat that was starting to thaw. It was fine. Everything's been fine. But had it stayed there another day, me thinking there was a cooler, that might not have been so good. So anyway, something to look into. The total cost there was like $300 to ship it. So you're less than what you'll pay in check bags anyway. Worked out slick. Guys, I hope you enjoy the footage here. This is actually my first archery elk, so pretty special solo hunt, and one that I will never forget. It was a brutal haul out, but worth every single second, and the burning legs and back and lungs, and just fucking awesome. I really hope that I can do that for many, many more years. And for those watching this, that's really what Ridgeline Athlete, this platform, is all about, is providing knowledge and education for the backcountry athlete, right? Because pursuing these animals and going on these adventures, whether you've got a weapon in your hand or not, it requires a prereq of physical preparation, your mental capacity and confidence to put yourself into these situations and ultimately have fun, right? And to enjoy it, at its fullest. You want to be as physically, mentally prepared as possible, and that's what Ridgeline Athlete is here to bring. We have online training programs. If you're close enough to train with us in-house, awesome. And then through social media and now YouTube, we are just looking to provide as much knowledge and education on how you can be more physically prepared for the adventure of a lifetime. And just to be able to do this as long as possible and enjoy those wild places that we all love so much. So I hope you enjoy the video. Be sure to subscribe and share. Keep charging, guys. We'll see you on the next one. All right, guys, so boning out this elk hind quarter. This is a super slick trick for boning it out and having all those pieces of meat all in one big chunk. They're gonna kind of lay out, which is nice for the butcher or if you're doing your own butchering. So basically what I've done, if you can see it, I worked my way kind of down the femur, all right? And you just keep trying to find these little seams, okay, like here. And you're just gonna kind of bust through those. I like to pull off a lot of that stuff that hardened on over the night. But then, see, I'm working down, that's the femur there. I'm working down, this is all like free now, all the way around that femur. And now I'm just gonna cut through. There's a seam here, and you'll find it with your thumb. You know, I'm being kind of picky about it. You could go at it quite a bit quicker. But see there, like I just found that little seam. I'm gonna cut through that, work my way all the way back into the bone, and then eventually, see, like there's the bone there again, and I'm gonna work my way down, okay, till this all unfolds. I left the upper, or excuse me, the lower, like the hamstring, the shank meat on the hind quarter. I left that there. You don't want to be cutting that rear tendon because that's what it's hanging from, so be careful about that. And then I'll work my way all the way down this, all the way around, and you're basically just working down that bone, okay? And you're just gonna, all that meat's gonna fall off. I'm gonna throw it in the bag, and away we go. I'll show you just a little closer here too. You can see how I've opened that up, okay? And we're working down that femur. If you just keep finding the seams with your thumb, you'll, rather than just hacking through those chunks of meat, that's really the trick to it. And then you just cut down the seam, open it up, keep working your way along. All right, this is kind of an important part here. See, there's the head of the femur, okay? And I've cut all the way around this. And really the only thing that's holding it on right now is a little bit in the back. So I'm working in a tree. If it falls down, it's covered in a lot of crap. It can happen, but I got my bag here underneath it. I'm just gonna try to get it worked up in there as I make these final cuts. You'll see it's just gonna kind of fall away. So you gotta be ready. If you've got two guys, that works really well. I don't. So we're doing the best we can. That was his genitalia, if you were wondering, which you gotta leave on him. So all I'm gonna do is just start that bag. That way, if it falls, at least it's somewhat protected. And then I'll go back to working my way down the back side here. Pretty much, we're almost there. You can just feel, oop, there we go. She's starting to go. And you can see that in there, but just a little bit left. Holding it. There it goes. Here we go. Here's the hind quarter. All right, I'm gonna show this again. The second one here is, I think probably the hardest part is figuring out where to start. So here we've got, this would be the hind, so the rear of that rear leg. Okay, you see how he's got his hamstring tendon here and runs all the way down through. The other side here, that's where you're gonna have that, like the be like his knee of the rear leg. So what I do, you see these seams here. So I've already started this one, but it was just like this. Okay, that's how it all started. And what I did is find this this could potentially be like a roast. I find this seam right here, and then I'm just gonna work my way in there. Okay, you see, you find these seams and you follow it with your hand. Okay, so remember, you're gonna leave the upper, you're gonna leave the hamstring. Okay, we're gonna peel everything else off. So see this seam here, I'm just gonna run my thumb, and then I find a place to cut right there. All right, I'm gonna run my thumb through till all of a sudden it just starts falling right off. So you just find those seams, work your way all the way around, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm gonna come to this side. You see that same seam, again, there's a hamstring, working my way all the way around here. That seam leads us right back, okay, to that femur. So then I'm just gonna work all the way in. You can feel the bone here. I'll work right to the edge of that bone, and then that's where I'll start working my way around, like I showed you on the other quarter there. And I'm just gonna work my way around the whole thing until this thing just falls right off. Open it up, and away you go. Here's a really good view of what that looks like when we see, there's your femur, hamstring, and then these things are just like spreading right apart, okay, falling right off. The end of that, I should say the head of the femur is right there. So really all I've got left to cut is like right in there. All right, so make sure you get your game bag under it at that point, because it's just gonna fall right off. What's happening, guys? So I'm cutting up a hind quarter here, and there we go. There's all your cuts, everything all attached. I pulled that off the bone. Here's my bone. Okay, that's exactly how this came off. It's clean. It allows you to have all your different cuts laid out in front of you, rather than if I'm hacking a piece of sirloin here, and then I got, a round over here, and then I got another piece of this, and a piece of the eye, and it's like, in the end, you've just got this pile of hind quarter steaks, and you're not quite sure what came from what. This way you can really, now I can go through, pull these pieces apart, boom, right there. If somebody wants to do a roast, you can do it. If you want to do steaks with it, I'm able to just pull all these pieces off, boom, 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 and away we go, right? Like it's pretty awesome to be able to do that, and it's super neat also. And I've said it before, I think I have one video up on the YouTube channel now. Look at that right there. Like, that's awesome steaks. I have one video up. I believe I haven't put up the doing this deboning, doing this in the backcountry, where I actually hang the elk hind quarter and then zip, 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 pull it all out, and you've got this one, everything's all attached like I just showed you there, and you can just throw that right in your game bag and away you go. It also makes life a lot easier if you are going to send your meat to the butcher. It makes life a lot easier for your butcher, because then they don't have to necessarily pick through all those different cuts. I also truly believe that if you're quartering in the backcountry, and you bring it to them in that way, you're going to end up with more yield. Look at that. I mean, let's go. Like, that is just beautiful. And then I can turn around, you know, and I'll trim off a lot of these fascial membranes, right? And then turn this into steaks. But yeah, freaking awesome. I hope there's other guys, gals out there butchering meat at home. You're gonna end up with a lot more yield. And it's nothing against butchers, but hey, if they were to take as much time on a deer or any animal like I do, you know, at home where I'm able to just pick away at it, they're not gonna make any money. Okay, so butchers, and they do a great job. And for some people that don't have a setup like I do, that's just what they got. You know, what you got to do. That's fine. For this one, it's been 2 weeks now that this one's been curing. It hung. The temperature was good, and it hung for about 5 to 6 days before I skinned it, quartered it, and then I put them in a refrigerator. So I was fortunate enough to get another freezer this year, and I have one freezer that I was able to, it converts from fridge to freezer, and I had the temperature set on that at a perfect curing temperature, and it sat in there for 2 weeks. This meat's awesome. I've been picking away at it for us to eat at dinner. Just come out and carve some up and throw it on the grill or however you're going to cook it. So pretty excited, and that's the best part about harvesting animals, you know, like I do, is that then I'm able to take it from field to table, from butchering table to the table, and ultimately consume it. So pretty awesome. Good luck, guys, for coming into the home stretch here of the season. Keep charging, and I hope you're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be butchering up meat of your own.